What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fit Life Podcast. I'm your host, Jackie Labadia, and we took a little bit of a podcast hiatus. Life got a little bit too crazy for me, and I had to cut my losses in different areas of my life. It was just one of those times where I was like, this is too much. I am so stressed out. And I have to be okay with not everything happening right now. And unfortunately, that also meant just taking time from podcasting and just reducing the workload and the things that I had going on. So that is an example of setting boundaries with yourself. And I think that it's really hard to see when we need to do that because you're so caught up in everything and you're not seeing everything from the big picture. But yeah, there was just some extenuating circumstances on my end, and I needed to take a step back from a few different things. And I'm still practicing this in other areas of my life, but we're back. We're back to the podcast. Please excuse my hair if you are watching me on video. It knows not what it is doing today. My mom recently said that I have free hair, and I like that. I'm like, oh yeah, because like if you have been following me for a bit, you know that I like over the last year was really experimenting with like my natural curls, like wavy curly hair, and figuring out what works best. And I have not put heat on my hair in like over a year. Except for my diffuser. And yeah, it's like going wild today. And that's the thing. That's like the thing to accept with curly wavy hair is it's gonna have a mind of its own sometimes. So yeah, there's that if you're watching me on video. If you're also watching me on video, you might also notice that I have a little bit of a new space, which is super exciting. My husband redid this room, and that was the other reason I kind of took a hiatus from podcasting, was my space was going to be, changing. Yeah, my space was all up in the air. And I definitely could have moved this, but again, I just needed that justification to take some time off. But yeah, he repainted this room. So previously, if you had seen this on video, it was a pink room. The owners that had this house before us used this basement room as like a baby's room. Like I think there was like some grandkids living here or something. So they had like this as like a pink baby room. So now we have it a little bit more neutral. It feels more like an office space. Yeah, it's just a more clean, kind of airy look, which I really love and appreciate. And girls, if you are single and listening to this, I swear the biggest advice that I can give anybody is find yourself a handy husband. Okay? Because it is a lifesaver and you're not constantly waiting on things to be done. Okay, maybe I should reframe this. Find yourself a handy husband that also has some OCD tendencies, in the sense of like he will not let things go unfinished. Yeah, my husband is very much like that. Once he starts something, he needs to see it through, and it's a blessing and a curse, but in the best way possible, I swear. So he takes a lot of these projects onto himself, and it's awesome to see and awesome to have, as somebody who's married to him. So yeah. Okay, so I really want to get into one big topic today. So as you guys all know, I'm obviously head coach of JL Fitness and Lifestyle. Within JL Fitness and Lifestyle, I have my group coaching program called the Stronger Forge. And within our group coaching program, we do 3 12-week challenges per year. This is usually like when I'm doing these challenges, the beginning of the challenges is usually when I start onboarding more people into the group. It is like a membership base. So for as long as you're a paying member, you get access to these challenges. But obviously, because we only do challenges 3 times a year, there are times between challenges where we are not actively in a challenge. We're not actively trying to we're not actively using that competitive edge to motivate ourselves. And something that I notice, and I've noticed this for a while, and I've kind of known as a coach this was going to happen, but I think it's worthwhile talking about, is that we will have people who show up for challenges, but once the challenges are gone, they struggle so hard to continue to implement what we're trying to teach. And obviously, there are certain challenges that are not meant for longevity. They're not meant to be sustainable. They are meant to push you and maybe light that fire, but they're not meant for long-term sustainable types of lifestyle pieces. So things like that I'm thinking of that come to mind are like 75 hard, for example. That's not really something that is sustainable. It might give you some excitement. It might light the fire, but it's not something that you can expect to necessarily sustain outside of those potentially 75 days. My challenges are 12 weeks long, yes, and they have a competitive edge in the sense that you collect points for everything that you accomplish, but we try to do it in a way that I am more so looking at proving the point of consistency as opposed to whoever does the most is going to win. What we see a lot of, like there's like different patterns that we see every challenge. For example, at the beginning of the challenge, the fire is lit, the group is all engaged. I'm getting like tons of different posts every single day in our group. By week 4 to week 6 is usually when you see that kind of fire die out. And it's not because there's anything wrong with the challenge, but it is the approach of most participants. And as much as I can try to coach them through this, sometimes we need to see those patterns, those behaviors repeated, and the coaching justified and solidified before behavior change shifts into something that's going to have a different outcome. So I'm going to get into like the little kind of like psychology behind this and try to explain where we can change things and what kind of tools we can implement in order to help people who might have those same kind of patterns change that direction. So people who I'm talking about who might get the fire lit at the very beginning, but by weeks 4 to 6 find that they're dying off, they can't keep up with the rest of the group, so then they kind of get into this headspace of like, okay, well, what's the point if I can't even keep up, or if I can't get as many points as the next person. And then we also have another group of people who, outside of challenges, they do really, really well in the challenge, but outside of the challenges, now they're falling off base, and they are having a hard time staying consistent. And now these might be different kinds of like unrealistic expectations. A mix of that with these other pieces we're going to talk about. But anyway, there is like a psychological basis behind these that I think are worth exploring and worth bringing awareness to, and also worthwhile to look at the tools and the things that we can do in order to change these pieces so that we can have that long-term consistency. So basically, these concepts that we are going to be looking at today are extrinsic motivation, intrinsic motivation, and self-determination theory, and how this all kinds of ties together with how we can build upon behaviors that are going to be in alignment with the outcomes that we want. So if you are somebody who has ever done a workout or participated in a challenge, and you crushed it because you felt amazing, because it was rewarding to you for like from a personal level, versus dragging yourself through it just for the points or the likes or what have you, or any other kind of related kind of situation. So sometimes we have these, and yeah, we'll get into that, sorry. So today we're going to dive into one can kind of light you up and from the inside, and the other can kind of really kill your drive over time. And there is a time and a place for both intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. But we are going to look at the framework that explains exactly how to stack the deck into your favor. So that's going to come from self-determination theory and why and how we can implement these tools. So what is intrinsic motivation? What is it actually? So a simple definition is intrinsic motivation is doing something because it's inherently satisfying. The activity itself is the reward. So some classic examples would be something like reading a novel at 2 a.m. because you just can't put it down, or a musician practicing for hours because the sound feels incredible, or if you're a coder or something like that, but debugging at midnight because solving the puzzle is fun to you. These are kinds of examples where you're seeing curiosity and joy and flow, and personal growth. Like you're getting something in from it from an internal perspective. There's really just reward for you that's coming from it. This is powerful because when you're intrinsically motivated, you show up with more creativity, persistence, and well-being. And this is exactly the kind of sustainable drive we want in order to cultivate in your goals. So we want that kind of drive. But when it comes to things like health and fitness, we do see a lot of people find difficulty in finding that drive because it's a challenge, because not everybody is as passionate about health and fitness as other people are. Some people don't like working out as much as other people do. But it is important to find those internal pieces to keep yourself going because your health is important. So what is extrinsic motivation? So a definition of extrinsic motivation would be doing something for a separable outcome. So rewards, praise, money, or avoiding punishment. A classic example would be working overtime for the bonus, studying for the grade instead of the learning, and exercising only because your doctor said you'll die otherwise. So these are really external factors, and it might feel more like I have to rather than I want to, and that's a huge divide when it comes to the reasons why you're showing up. So again, like there's a time and a place for both extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation, but we do want to be able to utilize both to our benefit so that we have that long-term sustainable approach. So extrinsic motivation isn't evil, but it can be used as a useful tool to get you started or to push you through a tough patch. But we don't want to use it as a crutch, because then when it becomes your only fuel, motivation often crashes the moment the reward disappears or the pressure lifts. So this is exactly what I have been describing in the challenges, is that as soon as those rewards are gone, maybe the fire has burnt out from weeks 4 to 6. Maybe you're not in the challenge anymore and therefore not accruing points that you can visually see. So there's no like motive there because you're not getting something external from it. So I'm going to go into self-determination theory, and then I'm just going to like tie all these pieces together so it makes more sense. So self-determination theory was developed by psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan over 40 plus years. It's one of the most well-researched motivation theories in psychology. And the core idea is that humans have 3 universal psychological needs that fuel high-quality motivation. When these needs are satisfied, intrinsic motivation naturally grows. When they're thwarted, even extrinsic motivation feels miserable. The 3 basic needs that they are referring to are autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So autonomy being, I'm going to do this because I chose it, not because someone is forcing me. So you want to feel that volition and that ownership coming from you. It's your choice. Like that is what autonomy is that idea that it's yours. Competence would feel like I feel effective and capable at what I'm doing. So something that is kind of part of mastery, like it's something that you feel good at, and not necessarily perfection. So we do this, or I try to do this in the Stronger Forge, by building on the things that kind of feel easy at first, because it builds that sense of confidence that we are competent at implementing these various pieces. And then the last piece is relatedness. This is where like I feel connected to others while I'm doing this. So a sense of belonging, caring, and being cared for. And so that's why because based on this theory, having a community when you are pursuing fitness goals can be such a benefit. Because you have that sense of community, you have people who are relating to you because they're on the same journey. So motivation is kind of on a continuum, right? On one end, there's like that pure extrinsic, external rewards and punishments, that feels controlling. There's the middle ground where there's like that internalized extrinsic. So you might have taken in the value and you still feel like you have to, but it feels more like I want to because it matters to me. And then there's the other side where it's pure intrinsic. And that's when the activity itself is the reward. So not everyone is going to find, when it comes to, say, workouts, that they're always going to be pure intrinsic on that kind of spectrum. But if we can shift you from the pure extrinsic to somewhere in the middle where like you still feel that pressure to show up because you have to, but you have some sort of internal feeling of like, I know I need to, or I want to because of X, Y, and Z, that is way better than it being pure extrinsic, right? So the key insight from self-determination theory is that the same external reward can either kill intrinsic motivation or support it, and it all depends on whether it supports or undermines the three basic needs. So this is like so important. So again, usually the three basic needs are going to be those internal drivers. The internal motivation is based on autonomy, competence, and relatedness, because you're getting something from it, and that is what's going to make that kind of create that internal value. So some real world examples of this could be that, say, in your goals, a paycheck or a deadline is extrinsic and it can be a helpful tool, but when you add autonomy, like choosing how you approach the work, competence, like seeing your skills grow, and relatedness, linking it to other people or values that matter to you, that's when real lasting drive kicks in. The kind we're building together, like within our group, right? So now you're not just earning a paycheck, you're actually enjoying the work that you're doing because you're applying these three concepts to the work that you're doing. Personal habits, for example, relying only on external rewards, like I'll treat myself if I hit the gym, can work short term as a tool, but it often becomes a crutch. We see this a lot in health and fitness. The clients who make the biggest shifts are the ones who start feeling strong and capable and connected to why this matters to them. And this is something I work on a lot with clients, is we have to find your why. We have to build on it. We have to have that either written down or in your mind as these pieces that are going to allow you to continue to show up. We have to have these pieces in mind so that when you have the devil on one shoulder and you have the angel on the other shoulder and they're bickering inside your head about whether you're going to show up and do your workout or whether you're going to choose the meal that you plan for yourself that's high in protein and fiber and all of those good things over going to McDonald's to get the cheeseburger, you have things that are built in your mind and in your toolbox as to why you should show up even when you don't feel like it. So that is part of why we need to build on this why, because it's building internal value for you to give you more reason to continue. A quick research nugget. So Deci and Ryan studies show that when people receive controlling rewards, their intrinsic motivation drops dramatically. When rewards were given in an autonomy supportive way, intrinsic motivation can actually increase. So basically, like giving yourself the choice. So this is something I do personally or with clients is, say, for example, you're having a really, really sluggish day. You feel like you just want to sloth on the couch. You want to veg out, but you know that you're due for a workout. You know that you haven't shown up to the gym in a few days and you really need to move your body. So a way to approach this from an autonomy supportive way would be to give yourself a choice. Okay, I can go downstairs and do my workout, or maybe I'll just go for a walk today. This is giving you the same kind of benefit from a movement standpoint. You're moving your body. You're going to give yourself that dopamine hit. You're going to feel better for it. But it's also kind of reducing the barrier to entry by giving you a choice. So maybe the workout still sounds good, or you have other incentives in mind that are going to help you to get that to that workout. Or maybe the walk is going to be the barrier to the barrier to entry for today. And maybe after your walk, then you're like, you know what? I am going to do my workout because now I feel good. Like I got oxygen in my brain. My blood is flowing. Like a walk can be like a good warm up. So now I'm just going to go and like start my workout and see what happens. Something else that another client of mine has recently started implementing is instead of thinking about, oh, I have to put my workout clothes on. I need to go down to my gym. I need to work out for an hour in order for it to actually be effective. Instead of like having all of these barriers built up in her mind, she's now just saying, you know what? Today I just need to show up. All I have to do is go down to my gym. I don't have to put my workout clothes on. It doesn't have to be for an hour. I'm just showing up. And in that sense, she is giving herself some autonomy by understanding that she either has the choice to show up minimally or she has the choice to show up to a more optimally. So there's two choices there, right? But either way, she's showing up. And again, that's what matters the most when it comes to consistency. So what I would want you to do with this information this week is to audit your current motivation. So pick one goal that we're working on together if you're a client of mine or maybe you're just a listener, but obviously I specialize in health and fitness, so preferably would be a health and fitness related goal, but could be applied to anything, fitness, career, habits, whatever it is, and ask yourself honestly, am I doing this because I want to, because it's coming from like an intrinsic perspective, or because I have to, because it's coming from an external reward or something or something that you're avoiding, like an extrinsic perspective. And then where am I using extrinsic motivation as a tool versus leaning on it as a crutch? So I wanted to give my own example of extrinsic motivation or an extrinsic tool per se. Something that I struggle with is the time that I use on social media. And I don't know, if you guys have listened to my episodes before, I've talked about how I have a suspected diagnosis of ADHD, and I don't know if it's related to that because ADHD brains just use dopamine in a different way than neurotypical brains. But something that is really easy for me is to get sucked into scrolling. And all of a sudden I could easily kill hours scrolling on social media, and I don't love it. And even when I am cognizant of like, oh, I literally feel like I'm getting pulled right into it. And I don't like that feeling. And even when I do, like on purpose, put it down, I find myself right back to my phone, just checking it just to check it for no particular reason. So I finally, in talking to my therapist, somebody with ADHD really benefits from external things. And it doesn't have to be necessarily an external motivator, but things that are like externally structuring your day in order to give myself that direction so I'm not like sucked into my own brain. So I recently purchased a brick, and it's so funny because I think they're almost like trending now because now that I've gotten one, I've seen so many other fitness coaches get one as well. So I feel like we're all kind of like feeling the same because the difficult part is when you run a business online, you have all the reason to be on social media all the time. So when I'm not actively working or creating content or answering things in social media, what am I doing there besides consuming? And because I identify that I have a difficult time consuming, the brick is something that is an external thing that makes sure that I cannot access it, and to make sure that I can concentrate on other things and make sure that I'm using my time more effectively. So I know, again, like this isn't necessarily an external motivator, but it is something that I am using as a tool in order to help motivate myself to do other things. So now I bricked my phone because it's after hours in terms of like a business perspective. I can focus on other things. And when I first started using it, it was kind of a reality check. Like, oh, there's literally nothing that I can do on my phone except for reply to text messages or group chats, or check my coaching app and things like that. But there's only so much you can do there. So I'm not inherently now staying on my phone because there's nothing there for me to do. But I think I wanted to use that as a way to explain that we can use the same idea when it comes to our motivation. We can understand that sometimes we need certain external factors to keep us accountable, but it needs to be a tool. It can't be something that you can rely on as a crutch. So it's same with my brick, right? Like, I want to use it as a tool, and I use it as a tool where I say at 5 o'clock every day, I brick my phone. That is my tool, because now I've developed that habit and I'm following through on this promise to myself and my family that I'm going to shut my phone off and brick it so I cannot access it after a certain time of day, because now I'm not working. Like, I am literally, brick to me is basically like clocking out of work or clocking into work. So that's how I'm kind of like viewing it. But with this external thing that's been helping me, it has helped me to develop awareness around my behaviors. So now, if I say unbrick my phone for whatever reason, during a time where I'm not usually unbricking my phone, like maybe there's something I do need to check, like right now, I'm noticing those behaviors that I want to avoid. I'm noticing when I feel myself getting sucked in. And so I know that that's the time where I need to brick my phone again, because now I'm like, okay, now I'm just using this unintentionally and it's not doing me any favors. I came and did what I needed to do. I'm going to brick my phone again. So it's bringing awareness to other things that otherwise, had I not purchased a brick to help myself with this, I might not have noticed, and my behavior has remained unchanged. So the same idea can be applied for when you're using external factors to motivate you, but in the same sense, even with that motivation and with that flame under your butt, you need to identify the behaviors that are going to support your intrinsic motivation so that you can continue to be in alignment with behaviors that are going to get you the outcomes that you are looking for. Okay, so anyway, long-term way to say to boost your motivation. Okay, so number 2, what I want you to do is to boost your autonomy. So take ownership this week. So instead of following a plan because you have to, reframe it with a choice. So ask yourself, how can I do this in a way that feels like my choice? Even small decisions like the order of your workout or when you schedule it can light up your internal drive. So make sure there is some choices there for yourself. And again, going back to like how you might be feeling, knowing that you're going to feel better after your workout. Like, don't wait until you feel good to do your workout, because that's not why we do workouts. We do workouts to feel good. We don't wait till we feel good to do a workout. We do our workouts because it's going to result in us feeling good. But give yourself some choice. Am I going to work out in the morning? Am I going to work out in the evening? What workout outfit am I going to wear today that's going to make me feel super cute and put together, and like I want to go down to my gym or go out to the gym, wherever it is that you work out. There's so much that you can do there. And again, there's different ways that we can reframe this for ourselves to make it feel like a choice. Number 3 is build your competence. Focus on progress, not perfection. Each day, notice one specific thing you're getting better at and tell yourself, I'm getting stronger, faster, more skilled because of how I'm showing up. This is the kind of feedback that grows real confidence and motivation. And this is a big reason why I love strength training, because it really shows you so much progress in the gym, and it really shows you that you are way more capable than you feel like you are. This is like the beauty of strength training. You see progress pretty quick, and you realize pretty quick that you underestimate yourself a lot, not just in the gym, but in life. And it just makes you kind of wonder what you are capable of in other areas that you have yet to explore. And that's what I really, really love. And that's why strength training has been such a passion for mine. I'm really having a hard time talking today, apparently. Number 4 is strengthen relatedness. Connect your goal to people or values that matter most to you. Ask yourself, how does crushing this help me show up better for my family, my team, or the life that I want? And share your wins or struggles with someone who supports you. And that connection makes the effort feel meaningful. So in the Stronger Forge, I actually encourage all my clients to share daily wins into the group and to support each other in those daily wins. Comment, like, however it is, because we want to make everybody feel that value and feel like their accomplishments, no matter how big or small they are, have some sort of meaning behind them, because they do. And the more that you show up, and the more, whether these are big or small things, the more consistent you're going to get with it because of that relatedness. And not only that, if you're connecting with people who are on the same journey as you, having that connection and knowing that there are other people going through this with you makes it that much more important, and makes it feel that much more purposeful and meaningful into your own life. And you might even develop some really strong relationships with people because of this journey that you're going on together. Number 5 is use extrinsic motivation wisely. So again, like, we want extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. But we do want to use it wisely, because with extrinsic motivation, there's always a risk that it's not always going to be there. And we need to know how to carry on when it's not available. So with extrinsic motivation, treat rewards, deadlines, or accountability as tools, not crutches. So if you're in the Stronger Forge, or if you're planning on participating in the spring challenge, we don't want to use that point system as a crutch. We can use it as a motivator, but we don't want it to be the end-all be-all of why we are doing what we're doing. If you're evaluating all of the things that you're doing and you are only doing it for points, we need to reevaluate why you're doing what you're doing, okay? So use them to get started, but immediately layer in the 3 self-determination theory needs, so autonomy, competence, and relatedness, so that the habit can stand on its own. If you catch yourself saying, I'm only doing this for the reward, that's your cue to redesign it with more autonomy, competence, or relatedness. Okay? Okay. So some closing thoughts that I did want to kind of touch on before I wrap this up. Not everything can or should be intrinsically motivating. Taxes are never going to be fun. The goal is to have intrinsic motivation as a dominant driver in the areas we're working on together, while using extrinsic motivation strategically as a temporary tool rather than a long-term crutch. So going back to that idea, we want a little bit of both. It's just knowing how to use them and when, and applying so appropriately. And self-determination theory shows us that the highest quality motivation isn't about willpower or bigger carrots and sticks. It's about creating environments and mindsets where you feel autonomous, competent, and related. When those 3 needs are met, intrinsic motivation shows up naturally, and that's when real lasting change happens. So again, meeting your own psychological needs, understanding them, understanding what you might be seeking out when you are trying to develop certain things and certain skills and behaviors within your life, is really important in understanding, like, your human brain, and being able to reward it in a way that is going to help you be more consistent and develop that self-growth that is needed in order to get to where you want to be. So this week, run that quick STD audit, so the self-determination theory audit, on one of your goals, and bring your answers in the comments below. I want to hear where you're feeling strong and where we can tweak things so you're running more on internal drive, because small shifts here can create massive results. So if you're in the Stronger Forge and you're listening to this, like, I would really love to see this discussion and see what comes up for you when you are thinking about these concepts. So if this episode sparks something for you, definitely drop your biggest takeaway, or send it to me directly. I'd love to discuss more. But yeah, I think that's short and sweet episode to start the day, but it was I feel like it was kind of heavy on the intensity in terms of, like, the content and what we're discussing, but I think it's so applicable to almost like everything that we are trying to grow in as people. And for anybody anyone who's trying to improve in any kind of area and maybe having difficulty making it stick. So these are all really important concepts to understand and to really get a grasp on, and to just like bring awareness to when it comes to yourself and how you are as an individual, because obviously everyone is so different, and everybody sees things differently and perceives things differently because of their life experience and their knowledge. But it is a really important factor in terms of like developing that awareness of yourself and how you can change things to make them more meaningful for you so that you can continue to show up. So that's it for today. I hope this hit home. Please let me know if it did. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review. Share this episode with anyone who you feel like might be struggling with their goals right now. But yeah, otherwise, that's it for today. Anyways, it's a beautiful day out. It's finally, if you live in Canada or Ontario, it has been a long, long, long winter, and today was the first like 20-degree weather where I was actually able to be outside in my t-shirt, which has been a huge relief. But so I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of the day in this weather. Again, I cannot talk today. What is happening? But otherwise, thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time.